Well, good morning. This is an impromptu video. I wanted to spend a few moments talking about merchandise, Richard and Paul merchandise. So a number of you over the years have asked us, will you be doing merchandise? Is there anything we can buy? So I am looking into it. Now I've got a little bit more time on my hands, which is a good thing. So upon investigation, there are a number of companies that provide merchandise and fulfillment services, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in having 20,000 calendars in my dining room that I can't sell, or 50,000 t-shirts or coasters that we can't shift. No, not interested in doing that because that would be a lot of work. What I'm interested in is a company that can print and send directly to the customer on demand on our behalf. And I'm also looking at the type of merchandise that these companies provide. But before I embark on this merchandise journey, I thought I'd do a little bit of market research in the form of this short video. Yeah, that's why I'm here, to ask you some questions. So what I want to do is pose the questions to you and get you to help us out by answering in the comments below, so we can get a good overall idea of whether or not you're interested, whether or not it's worth our while, and also the kind of things that perhaps you would be interested in purchasing. So I've noticed that a lot of companies do very similar stuff. You know, we're talking t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, aprons, that kind of thing, which we kind of quite like. So let's think about the questions that I'm going to ask you now. So number one, I've written them down. So would you actually be interested in buying a piece of Richard and Paul branded merchandise? Yes, no, or maybe are the answers that we're looking for. And don't worry if you say no, we're not going to be offended at all. We'd rather get an accurate snapshot rather than you trying to please us. Number two, what type of item would you purchase? Now I'm talking about those generic items, things like hoodie, t-shirt, apron, mug, not rainbow fluffy makeup case and leather effect pochette. We're not talking about your specifics here. We're talking about general merchandise. And finally, which of our catchphrases would you prefer to see on merchandise? Would it be simply Richard and Paul? Would it be Sunday Chat? Would it be Thank You Bloody Thank You? Would it be Richard and Paul since 2017? You know, which one of our catchphrases would you like to see on that merchandise? Because we need to think about designing some form of Richard and Paul logo, followed by another option, which would be, you know, maybe a couple of our catchphrases, the ones that are popular with you guys. That's what I'm looking for. So let us know in the comments below. It would be really helpful so we can go through the comments, gauge the interest and see what you guys are into. There are a number of channels that do sell merchandise relatively successfully, and there are, as I said before, a few companies that offer a complete service. And I think the other thing to maybe consider is what you would pay for a piece of merchandise as well, because you've got to factor in all of the costs. the cost of the actual product, the margin that the company makes, and also the margin that we would make on the product as well. So we have to factor in all of those things. And with all of those things considered, the price on some items could be quite high, as well as shipping costs. You know, the cost of everything is high at the moment. So, you know, I don't even know whether people can afford to buy merchandise, or indeed whether there is a desire for it now as prices have gone up. So there's quite a lot of things to consider. A few people have mentioned calendars. I have looked into calendars, and yes, they're easy to produce if you're just buying one that you're getting printed. But in order to produce a lot, there aren't that many companies that sort of feature a calendar as a product in terms of fulfilling it. There are plenty of companies that you can just upload your own photos and make a calendar. There's plenty of those, and there's plenty of ways of doing it. But en masse, that's a different kettle of fish. So I'm not necessarily looking at things like that, but it is, like I said before, the more sort of generic items that people tend to buy. So have a think about it, have a serious think about it. Pop your comments in the comment box below. We'll have a look through and see what we think. And if it's coming across as something that seems viable, then we will look into it further. Like I say, I've had a look already. We do have the means to create some artwork ourselves. Paul is fairly experienced in those fields because of advertising and marketing that he's done before. So, and it looks relatively easy to do it on the platforms that I've looked at. So we just really need you guys to chime in with your thoughts. So it would be really great if as many as possible could put a comment in. And like I said before, you know, be truthful. We're not just looking for you to please us, you know. I have dipped my toe in before when I did a photography store, but they started charging for the privilege of having a store. So I closed it, but I only made a few sales. So, you know, photography is something that I may be offering on our coffee page as digital downloads. So I'm still looking into that as well. Because I know plenty of you enjoy my photographs, especially the sunrises and sunsets and some of the landscapes. So that's not off the table, but yeah, that would require another area to look at. So yeah, that's it really. So thank you in advance for your valuable feedback, because it really is going to help us decide whether we go down this route or not. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. See you later.